Sirens busy jiving. Guess I'll make my move. Crazy feet unraveling me. Nothing.
Steve Sedergreen, welcome to Pete's Voodoo Room.
Thank you, Pete. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you here. How did you get into jazz music?
Well, that's a good one because I loved the piano first, but Dad started playing everywhere. So probably like your family or most families back then, your family took you everywhere. So if Dad had a gig, interstate, we go interstate. If you did a gig somewhere, we just think. So I was always around music right from a very young age. I reckon I was at the Prospect Hill Hotel in a bassinet is probably my first memories, but I can't really think. So where they used to have good music, Pete, you know. It's now just Dan Murphy's now, so it's a bit sad, you know.
So your early memories of performing, what was the earliest memory you had of performing?
I've always mucked around the piano, exploring and stuff like that. I love the piano, both classically, contemporary music, and then started playing a lot more jazz. But my dad had a 40th birthday party, and I had to play at the Limerick Arms with the great Ted Viding, the late Barry Buckley, and I play my butt off. So it was really, really cool. So it just started then, and I got the bug very early, and here I am still now, still chasing the bug of playing music.
Fantastic. Who inspired you the most as a musician?
As a musician, I would say Herbie Hancock was a big influence when I was younger. I shared the birthday with him if you took in the thing. So I used to ring him up on his birthday and say, "Come and teach me, Herbie." It never happened. He used to call me the stalker, and there are a few great stories about it. But all the great piano players, you know, I'm into people that are dynamic, very similar to me. Not always jazz, but in the jazz things, great players. And with today's thing, you got to keep my concentration up pretty good. So just on the bus, I was just on the bus to Adelaide just recently. I was just going through tracks that really long last with me. So someone like Ahmed Jamal, Duke Ellington, Thelonious Monk, any of the heroes are really good players. A lot of Australian great players too. I was very influenced by a lot of great musicians. Did
you ever meet Herbie Hancock at all?
Many times, yes. Yeah, a few times. He used to be able to gate crash to the concert hall, so he did a concert. I was going out with my beautiful wife, Chris, at that stage. We got backstage and got to chat with him and Wayne Shorter, and it was a very, very interesting thing after a gig. Most musicians after a gig, if you know a musician, are in a different state, but I had a really good time. And then also when I was at a conference, I presented a conference in New Orleans, I flew back with Herbie from LA. I had to get to Melbourne for a gig or a teaching gig, but I felt the New Orleans LA leg next to him, and we had a few questions, a bit of fun together, so that's really good. So he's quite approachable.
What do you enjoy most about teaching music?
Everyone's different. Everyone's got to find their pathway, and you've got, you know, I've spent a lot of time with teaching, and I'm about to bring out a book called Flipping Around and How to Let the Magic into Your Performance. So what I find really hard is everything is quite systemised. I'm a system person, but systemised against you being yourself. So that's what I really teach. I use a lot of Indigenous way of learning to help people listen, to prepare, and then play what's needed in the moment, and then just encourage. So I'm not controlling. I'll never tell you what to play. I'll tell you what to reflect, and that's what I do. I just love teaching, performing, and doing all the things I do. I'm a very lucky man.
What motivated you to rework your songs for points in time?
Well, points in time is a bit of a thing. I'm just in the middle of this. While I've been travelling, I'll be off to Darwin this week. Is to work on my next couple albums. I've been working on my next album for the last 6 or 8 years. I'm very close to bringing out. But really, points in time was about like what were I doing in my 3 stages of my life. So I was very young performer. I really did some young works, and then there was another part of me growing up with Mistaken Identity, mainly playing with my brother, and other musicians. And then the stage playing with Indigenous musicians. So Points in Time was a great album. It did really well for me. It got to the point where now we've thought everything's hobbyist now, so you can't make money back on it, right? So it's a bit slow. So this year, or probably early next year, I'll bring out probably 2 or 3 albums of music and a new book. So I do it in big spurts, and hopefully it'll last long and get a bit of momentum. Because I travel quite a lot, which is really, really good. It makes it a little bit easier. It's just that people are now, a record or a book is like a memento, so you've got to keep reinventing yourself pretty quickly to last in the scene.
can you share a memorable moment from a collaboration?
Well, I love all musicians I've collaborated with. Even the close, so, obviously, I started Mistake on it, but without my brother. But my brother was the first collaboration. We work really well together. We're not playing together as much now because we've put a lot into it, and it's been hard for instrumental jazz. Imagine playing instrumental jazz and try a thing. But look, when any good cats come out, as you know, Pete, that I've played with, I seem to get on really well. I seem to really work well with people that have similar things. Lionel Cole, a lot of people you've introduced me to, I've had a ball working with them. But I can work with anyone who's prepared to listen and be themselves. I can't with someone that's all worked out and it's a bit of an act.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can play the role. I'm not a role player, right? I'm not a session musician. I'm a jazz guy who likes to play how I feel in the moment.
Do you ever go into the avant-garde type of?
That's a good word. Well, avant-garde to me is oobly doobly, right? I can do that really well, right? But it's not just playing notes. It's playing feelings, emotion, stuff like that. So, even to doing on this bus trip, you see the land, right? I was in the Barossa, saw how dry it is in Adelaide at the moment, and the colour of the earth and all those sort of things. So I think we've got it wrong because a lot of musicians transcribe, which is the way people learn. But it's not much just transcribing the notes, it's more transcribing the feeling or the essence of what they're trying to communicate. And then really the truth is you get it all from your audience. You've seen me do it before. Is I can audience, like I did a gig with in Sydney with Harry Angus just a week or so, a couple of weeks ago. I prepare a lot, over-prepare, but when it comes to the gig, what I prepare, I don't play. That's basically me in a nutshell. Because it's the audience that you've got to connect with. Right. You don't definitively, because it's not... The thing about music, it's the first language. Man and woman hit sticks and rocks, or they hit sticks and rocks, and they tell stories, and that's where music comes from. I just like the improvising part of it, because I can use the piano as my vehicle to talk to people and really communicate the way I feel.
How is the Australian jazz scene changing today?
Oh, we've got very individualistic, and it's hard. There's no right or wrong. It's become very dog eat dog and competitor versus competitor. Deep down, all of us are trying really hard. So I'm now in the older grade. I can't believe it. I feel young, right? We've got a responsibility to help younger people is our big thing at the moment. In Melbourne, we're pretty lucky. We've got a lot of sort of part-time musicians, I'll say, without being thing, right? Run venues, so they run venues, so we're very lucky. Sydney's a little bit harder. There's not many venues in Sydney, but I go up to Sydney a lot, do some gigs there. You just got to make it work somehow. So it's not worth whinging about. It's not healthy, but it's not impossible. But you've got to really work hard to get your audience and try and find your audience. The thing is, if I play, right, or whatever element I play with, people go, that's jazz, I want to come and see you. So I'm pretty lucky. It's just the rebuild again. You've got to you've got to be able to reinvent yourself so much. So what I tend to do is I'll put on a show, but I won't repeat that show again. So I'm not in that position where I can go, this is the Steve Sedergreen act. Even with these recordings I'm doing at the moment, there'll probably be 3 different recordings. I know what my voice is, but to get that repeat audience, you just need to find different elements. And I think younger people were out today because there's, I think the scene in Australia is we just got to create more opportunities and do it. So that's what I've done all my life, and I'll continue to do it, and I love it very much.
Because you came back from the States, 2 years ago? You went to the States?
Yeah, I did very well in the States, yeah.
And did you find the difference in venues that were operating in America post-COVID to when they were pre-COVID when you were there? Was there a difference in there?
There's a big difference. The pay rate was a lot different.
Yeah.
So,
So is there a decline, would you say? Or?
Big decline, yeah. Well, we all love music. It's a problem for us. We're suckers. We love what we do, right? But I've been very lucky that I've seen when I've done concerts, they've got people. I'm very popular for some reason, and I think it's also to do with my education, the way I'm very honest about what I truly believe. Jazz to me is about being yourself, playing in the moment, and being brave and listening carefully. It's not about worked out speeches, right, and stuff like that, and not hiding behind an artist so much. sometimes, we obviously I did an album with Mel and the guys, Mistake on It with Stevie Wonder, but that was because when I was young, I said there was a big connection between Duke Ellington and Stevie Wonder, and the young guys' Mistake on It laughed at me and made fun of me. And then many years later, when I was a little blue, my bro said, I've got the idea now, here's the album, and he's very good at producing things and making things happen. We did that. So hiding behind an artist or doing stuff, you've got to really, really understand the essence of that. And I was very lucky with my father, playing with such great musicians and meeting these musicians and hanging. And sometimes some of these musicians would stay in our house, We had bunks, Mel and I, would crash out with us, right? You got a bit of an idea how it worked. Not things evolved for the better, When I was overseas, I caught up with Nicholas Payton, and he had a great little combo band that I love very much. And next thing I saw one of these musicians in New Orleans, and next thing I'm doing a gig, So it's all, all fly by your seats. But if you're true to yourself, this one's right. It's the honesty I think is missing. The great players like Bill Evans, I didn't mention Bill, beautiful, honest to feelings. It's all there. Keith Jarrett's even honest. So I know I'm mentioning all piano players, but that's because piano players think they rule. King of the Jungle and really good. But as long as you're honest, Pat Metheny, who's coming out here in a couple of weeks, I don't know if I can go see him because he's old now. I want him to always think. But I met Pat Metheny outside Limerick Arms at a tram stop, and I spent a day with him. I rang my mates before mobile phones. I said, bring Pat Metheny. They didn't believe me. And his tour stayed for about a week. And he said, Steve, just get in the car, travel, go to places. And I've taken that advice. And when I went to a conference in New Orleans in 2000 I was one of the international things. Pat Metheny taught me, I remember me from there. So I've been very lucky. I've sort of been around it. I've had great mentors, and I've been a great mentor to others. But I think really that we just have to keep being positive and find a way through, and things aren't as bad as they seem to be,
I remember in the early 2000s hearing your name because you were running Dizzy's.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I was working with in recording scenarios kept mentioning Steve Sedergreen, and then you had an influence in setting up the Cat Empire. How did that all sort of come about?
Big connection between sport and music. The big difference is sport, we don't give a stuff about the audience because it's about winning, right? We do as a product, right? As a musician, you want everyone in that audience digging your music and then coming and follow you again. So at the time, there was an under-18 competition. So I thought, well, I'm a bit of a risk taker. Why don't I start my own under-18 competition? So I started this thing called the Jazz Cat program. And what I did was I didn't grab the best players, but I grabbed, because it was called the Jazz Cat program, I grabbed 9 cats from 9 different schools. And just from their first gig, you could tell they were going to do something really special. And, they've gone through a bit of a break between 2 of the members, but they're still the Cat Empire, and they're unbelievable.
What's a legacy now?
It's a legacy, and it was really to help young people, right? And Dizzy was the perfect place, because when I ran Dizzy's, I ran it by chance, because that's when I came back from America. The place was going for 3 months, and me being me, right? So, well, I'll buy in. I had no money and had to suck up to a friend in the bank and get in. I bought in, and Thursday nights we're going up and said to Felix, you can have one night with the band and one with your own little band, which was a little trio at the stage, with some different members. And I saw them grow and grow. And then the thing about teaching is you got to let it go. You can't hold on to it. Let them move on. So I was inspired by the under-18 footy competition. Under-18. This was the under-18.
So you're nurturing.
Nurturing. I wish they got paid as much at the start like footy players, but that's a different ball game. But they didn't have management. And I helped them find management because we had a little thing here for life. And I said to the boys, as long as you're not good with this person, they'll do well. So they're very good off the field, on the field. And Felix, who's a fellow close to your birthday, just had his birthday just last week, right? Had the determination how to make it. Harry had an amazing thing. They all had something magical. Will Hull Brown had something magical. Ollie, who I love very much, they're magical. And I just want to succeed. I still want that to happen. My thing is to lead by example, not to wave your flag, and then hopefully positive things will happen. And anyone young, we've got a responsibility. So when I go to Sydney and hang out with those guys now, we look after young people. I just had a guy from New Zealand come and play the other day. I've helped with a gig where I am now at the moment, He played for after 5 minutes. He was playing at my gig, and next thing, hopefully, something will happen for him. Because the thing will continue and grow, right? It's just getting a little bit harder, and we just got to find a different way through it.
What's the main message of your book, Start Playing Jazz Piano Now?
Well, I was very lucky. When I was 19, I got my first job, which was teaching at the CAE. How lucky was I? CAE was a great environment to learn. In that class, you would have 10 or 12 people of different levels, someone who could read music and have Amos, someone who mucked around. So I learnt very quickly how to teach people from the starting point. So it's really, there are a lot of books and texts that tell you stuff, right? They're normally the secondary stuff, but I wanted to write a book. If you start out and you didn't know me, right, take all the charisma out and all the stuff, can I make that book work? And I'm very proud of that book. It's done very well. It's had two editions. I'm going to write another book called Flipping It Around, and how to let the magic in your performance. And it's for anyone non-musical, right, with a few recordings. Hopefully that gives me a bit of kudos and I go to the next stage, which really is just my philosophy of how I teach, which is using Indigenous way of knowing. Not that it's popular, right? Just music started as the first language, the most important language, by the way, right? Before any of them. People at Sticks and Rocks and the way made stories and away you go. And I think that's really what it boils down to. So too much thinking. We don't want much too thinking. As you rock and rollers will tell me, if you think too much, you stink. So and jazz have a lot of problem with that because we tend to educate on an intellectual way. It's interesting. I was on a bus all the way from Adelaide just last night, and when I have to listen to jazz, I have to really think. If it's grooves, I move around with it. So different things stimulate us. And I've just tried in that book to explain how I do it my way from the very start. If you even couldn't play the piano, could you teach yourself how to play the piano? That's what I've tried to do.
Fantastic. If you could play with anyone, who would it be?
Wow. Alive or dead?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Heaps of people. What I found in my life, right, because I've been around jazz, as I consider jazz, right? I reckon that's such a good question for me because there's so many people who love to play, but I would play with anyone that's contemporary that has a similar sort of vibe with me. So I can't give a specific name, but geez, I'd love to play with Jimi Hendrix. Geez, I did an audition with, I didn't even know, with Jamiroquai was in London in the 90s. Had no idea. I just wanted to come back and watch the footy. So you can see where I was at, and I was a bit homesick, right? So I did get the gig, but I didn't take it, right?
Okay. That's a big
so
one.
I didn't know. I was just too naive. But so. Someone who is really themselves, who's a leader. Even though I'm a leader, I like looking up to leaders myself. I like following really, and I just like getting everything sort of sorted for people and then having fun. But someone who's a risk taker like me, someone who could really, put my thing, and not being drugged or juiced or anything like that, but being with Jimi Hendrix or any of that period, the late 60s, early 70s. Miles Davis, all that sort of stuff would be really cool. I know that will never happen. Contemporary artists, well, Sting would be good. I don't mind what Sting does. Stevie Wonder would be amazing, right? Anyone particular, right? I'm not fussy, right? Vocalists, it could be really good. I've learned so much from my contemporary musicians, even though I get to play them. They're pretty much similar viewpoint. Just someone who's got the idealistic and emotional intensity that I'm looking for.
What advice do you have for overcoming stage fright?
Well, that's a good one. We all suffer from stage fright. Not to overthink it. Just think, you flip around, make it positive, right? Think of the positive experience. Just think something positive. Go back to your childhood. In my case, I fell in love with the piano because I think it was Rebecca Barn of all people, right? Because Dad would go to these wild parties, right? There was a pretty girl playing the piano. I said, I want to learn the piano. I had no idea Dad played. And first I went to, I learned off a blind teacher, and the daughter was really, really cool. At first when I was C in front of the two black notes and F in front of that, and can you find me another C? And I practiced the very top note, it was a C. I was in, right? I love the way the piano was signed. So if I go back to something that means positive feelings to me, that works there. The only reason why you might be nervous is you get insecure, and it causes all problems in our world, right? You just got to negate that somehow really good. So, and you don't want to, sorry, I'm going to use the word arseholes on stage. You don't want anyone playing with you. You want want to be in a positive environment. But I do, when I had equally when the Jazz Cat program, I had people who could hardly playing those workshops where Felix met Harry, right? You got to be open to all, but you can't take all the space. A lot of people want the space for themselves. You got to learn to share that space.
Yeah.
That's it.
Everyone has a voice.
Everyone has a voice, right? Just when you're good, right, make sure you go and see someone who's really good, right? If you're not so good, just be polite and give people love, but just really encourage people. And you got to play heaps. The more you do it, the simple, the better you get at it, right? If you reflect, which I talk about, not practice, reflect, you get even better. And don't reflect everything. Reflect the best to get your for boys, get your confidence up, reflect what you love doing. If you're really good, you puff your chest in, reflect the worst, leave the rest to the next time. Next day, work just as hard. So you have to work hard. Even if you've got a talent like anyone in sport, you have to work. If you've got more talent you got, the harder you have to work. Don't just rest on your laurels.
What are you currently working on?
My next one was called Time to Blossom. And started in Adelaide, that's why I was in Adelaide, in the Adelaide Hills. I probably will do, by next year, I would say I'll have 3 albums out, an EP.
So it's a trilogy.
Trilogy, yeah. Time to Blossom, which is really about my voice coming together. And probably something a bit jazzier if I can put it together. But the book that I'm going to bring in, which is called Flipping Around and How to Let the Magic into Your Performance, that's what I think I do. And I think where my strength is, I'm a good listener, I can relate to you, but I can also break it down and make it quite simple so you got more outcomes and have fun.
Right.
Why not have fun?
Are you doing any soundscapes at all? Or?
I'm always doing soundscapes, but I love soundscapes, as you know. I would love the trio with the didgeridoo and the drums, the deep listening trio is one of my favourite ensembles. But it's very hard to make that work all the time because everyone's doing their thing. But those musicians I work, which I love very much, Uncle Ron and Michael Jordan, great musicians. But not this time because that was points in time was about where am I at that time. Now I'm going to the next level. Here's my voice, and you'll like it because there'll be some interesting things that I've done.
What is your favourite jazz piece to perform?
Oh, Sophisticated Lady. I don't play much, right? Because we don't know who Duke wrote it for, right? Being a fellow, similar birthday to you, Pete, right? We don't know, but it's a beautiful piece. I love that tune. I love, with tunes, the jazz standards, which my father loves playing, so that's a jazz standard, but there's the old standards. I love all standards as well, you know. Out of Nowhere, I love playing, right? Any tune, You've got to be in the right mood to play, you know. So, even Michelle's with Legrand, sometimes I open the concert, watch what happens, right? I love playing it because I don't know what's going to happen to the whole gig. I prepare everything, you send the Dropbox with everything, here's what we're going to do. As soon as I get there, let's go here. Go with the flow, you know. So, but those classic tunes, if you hang around classic tunes, I'm going to do, later in the year, I'm going to do a version of Dream Brother, right? Orchestrated, right? Because, that's a great tune. So it can be contemporary, it can be anything you want to be, as long as it connects and communicates. Really cool. So, sorry to be so open, but I just love most things, that if it's got the right vibe. It's got to have a passion, it's got to have a dynamic, it's got to have a bit of love, you know. Well,
thanks, Steve, and I wish you all the best for your future endeavours.
Oh, thank you so much, Pete, and pleasure to be part of it. Just enjoy, go check me out, and if you meet me, come and speak about football, music, anything you want to do. It's all pretty simple. As far as I'm concerned, it's not that bloody hard, right?
That's right.
So just love it, and don't overthink it, right? That's my thing, right? Just let it be. You know?
Correct. Thanks, Steve.
You're very welcome. Thank you for taking me.
When voodoo strikes, it'll tear apart your head. When voodoo strikes, you wish that you was dead. When